Welcome to Justified Riches Podcast. Justified Riches is a financial literacy podcast dedicated to empowering individuals with the knowledge and tools to achieve financial independence and professional success. Each episode bridges the gap between ambition and achievement by bringing together a seasoned mentor and an eager mentee for transformative conversations.
Frederick Douglass once said, "It's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men." And our mission here at Justified Riches is to create a stronger generation of youth through financial literacy.
I'm your host, Rich Tavarez, aka Positivity Pusher.
And I'm your other host, Justin, aka Stock Knock Life.
And together we hope that you enjoy the show, take notes, and sit down and relax.
Enjoy the episode.
All right, and we are here kicking it off. We have the pleasure of just having a tremendous guest here in the studio with us. We're here for another episode of Justified Riches. And as you know, as we always say, this is a podcast for the community, by the community. We know that we have so many hidden gems, so many talents right in our backyard that we don't even have to go out of state to get you the best and the brightest of what's out there, sharing financial education, real world experiences in a culturally articulate way. I am your host, co-host of this podcast, Rich Tavarez, aka Positivity Pusher, and my co-host.
And I'm Justin, aka Stock Knock Life.
Yes, and we have the pleasure of introducing, to me, this guy's like a Renaissance man over here. I mean, a licensed counselor helping to empower the next generation of future leaders. Clothing brand, this beautiful Alien hat that I'm forever wearing. Happily, proudly represented for the Alien brand. That is his brand as well. He's an author. He's an artist. And he definitely has some dancing skills. I was seeing a Jamaican dance. I was like, okay. I forgot what challenge that was called there. But it is our sincere pleasure to introduce to you Steve Calixte.
Hey, greetings, and thank you for having me here on this channel, man. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it. I just appreciate it, bro.
Oh, no, we are so happy to have you, my brother. So happy to have you. So please, I know so many things, so many good angles to talk about. I mean, even just jumping in mindset, that was one of the things looking at the questionnaire. That's a big thing for you. So as you tell us about kind of like your journey, everything you have going on, how does mindset really play into that?
Definitely. So as you shared, art, design are some of my core spaces when it comes to who I am as an individual. And for a long time, I felt like I had all these cool ideas, but I still didn't know who I am. So I'm projecting all these, concepts and creating all this content, but I just didn't know who I was and where I wanted to be. And that's why I had to take a step back and just self-reflect. And this is why I feel like it's really important for a lot of professionals and young creatives and young people who are pursuing anything, to be honest with you, just to self-reflect, figure out who you are first before you start just going out into the world, because you will get lost. You know what I mean? It is a very, very, intense world that we live in nowadays. And there's a lot of doors. And if you don't know which door that you want to walk into, you might get trapped into one of them.
Man. And I know a guy like you, I could tell authenticity seems to be something very important to you, right? So it's like, how do you navigate that space while maintaining the core essence of who you are? I feel like that's something you do really well.
I try to, and it's something that you learn on the way. But as long as you have that intent that you actually want to learn, you want to figure out who you are, because if not, somebody will tell you who you are. They'll try to define you. Right. You got to be able to define yourself before you go out there and somebody tells you who they think you are. You know what I mean? So it's important.
I know you work with young teenagers. So do you think young teens they struggle with that as far as knowing who they are?
I definitely do. We're living in the data world, the media world, the internet world, and anybody could be anything. You know what I mean? Like you can be one person behind a computer screen and project yourself as a whole different type of avatar. And I think a lot of kids in this particular generation, they're getting exposed to that very early. They're starting to be something else first before they are themselves. You know what I mean? And I think, with the appropriate mentorship and guide, we can help them like root themselves and plant that seed of who they are first, and then start, divining all. What's the word I'm looking for? Helping them to express all these various aspects of themselves, these other branches of themselves, but they have to be rooted first. You know what I mean? So I think it's essential, just like really self-reflecting, staying grounded, and not being afraid to dig deep inside yourself. Because I think we tend to just escape, find anything that can help us escape, and then once we find some form of comfortability, we're like, oh yeah, that's me, that's me. But no, that's just a temporary fix that you're doing. You're still escaping an aspect of yourself that you still haven't fixed yet. And if you don't, it's just gonna just grow and it's growing. It's like almost like a tumor. You know what I mean? So you got to get to the root of that first, and then you can have that really sensibility of who you are.
Right. That's deep.
What would you say, like, from a practical standpoint? Because this is good. Like, are there any, is it questions that you ask yourself, or is it kind of reflecting on values? Like, what are some ways that you've been able to ground yourself, or at least, help discover who you are?
In all honesty, and it's been a challenge when I first, was pursuing it, getting rid of this first. Even if it's just temporarily, I mean, to 5 minutes a day, etc. Just spending some time with yourself. And I think a lot of individuals, they fear themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to get to know that person inside of themselves. You know what I mean? Because of, it could be traumas that they've experienced. It could be just different challenges that they're afraid of facing. But once you're able to face that weak side of you that you think is weak, you realize that's probably the most strongest aspect of yourself. It's just you haven't just cultivated yet. So just spending some time, like 5 minutes a day, just self-reflecting, even if it's just a walk down the street, and you just like self-reflecting, going through the mind, things that you think that you can grow on and work on. And then these are key reminders. And then now you're building an aspect in your mind so that every day when you wake up, it's almost like routine. It's like, yeah, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to work on. And then naturally, you just start developing this side of you.
Taking your advice, taking a moment, just taking a moment to pause. When we think about like financial education, sometimes we make bad financial decisions because we're trying to be people who we are and who we aren't. So I think, right, like what you're talking about is so relevant, because that's like a financial trap even for grown adults, right? Like, you spend on what you don't want to spend because you're trying to flex or something else. So I think what you're saying, connecting with who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, right? Because there's no ugly, hypothetically, right? It's all love. It's just a matter of differences. But that's such a great point. You talk about kind of getting to know who you are, because I could picture myself like making bad financial decisions in the past, or you buy that vehicle because you're trying to flex, and who are you really flexing for at the end of the day, versus like, right, like if you're grounded. So I mean, that's huge advice, right right away. How do you stay grounded, or not to keep on reusing the word, but a highly creative guy like you, which is awesome. I'm sure the ideas are always flowing, which is great. So is there a process that you use for kind of like, because I'm sure you can't execute on every idea you think about. So is there, but you've obviously done a lot more than others, because other people stay stuck in ideas. I mean, you literally have, your brand, the book, all these different facets of actually executing, where I think that's a major delineator. So just for me, taking a step back, like, how do you decide what's an idea worth following through on?
I'm glad you asked that, because like I said previously, in my younger years, I just had all these ideas. But as I started to mature, I learned that first, a lot of the financial mistakes that I were making were lessons that I had to go through. I had to learn from them. But from those lessons, I learned the importance of organization. Organizing these potential concepts and learning what essentially makes sense, both from what's the word I'm looking for?
Financial standpoint?
Yeah, financial standpoint, you know what I mean? And a logical standpoint. Excuse me. So it allowed me to take time, organize myself, and start carrying a journal where I document concepts. So I'd write them down, and start to develop them on paper first. And then when I had a strict plan that I can stick to, because before I just freestyle, I'll just be like, I got this idea. You know what? I'm go on the internet, figure out how to print this and do this. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna make it. And then I didn't have any logical plan. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now I got the product. Then what? Do I know how to market? Do I know, okay, if I get a customer, what am I gonna do with that customer? And how am I gonna take, their money? You know what I mean? And how am I gonna? So it allowed me to just really organize myself and learn how to run a business from a professional standpoint, along with the creativity as well. The creativity is always going to be there. That's your core source. So now it's like, okay, now how can I structure it so that when I'm interacting with professionals, when I'm interacting with customers, I know how to distribute my content to them and make sure that I'm receiving, the appropriate energy that I need, which is currency, so that I can continue my business and make it move forward. As opposed to just like, I just got these ideas. I'm just going to throw it out there. If it happens, it happens. And then nothing happens the way I want it to.
Yeah, I realized that the importance of like writing things down. When you're younger, you maybe tend to remember certain things, but the older I get, the importance of just jotting things down, writing any ideas you have down, or anything you want to purchase with the price, like it's very important. I don't think we should be writing everything down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I forget
Especially with
things so
us, man.
quickly, but it's important for like even young people. Like you have an idea, write it down. If you want to purchase something, write it down. What's the price of it? How much does it cost? Okay, can I save this amount? Do I have enough of money in my account to purchase this? Just writing things down and go back and reflecting on it is it's a form of organization. That's how I kind of started, like budgeting on a sheet of paper. What's coming into it? Basically, I had a piece of paper. On one side it said in, and on the other side it said out. Right. So money coming into my account, write it down, and then everything, my bills, everything that was coming out of my account, I wrote it down, and that's how I started budgeting. Simple like that. Just being aware of what's going on, what's coming in my account, and what's going out.
Yeah, tracking. Definitely. Tracking. What, based on that tracking standpoint, do you have like to go from, which I'd love to hear more about your book, right? That's got to be such an amazing process because it doesn't happen overnight. That's like, right, pieces building on pieces, building on pieces. Like, how do you ensure that you're moving forward, or how do you go from, let's say, a concept to a book, which is like absolutely amazing?
Well, so in my earlier years, living in the city, like I said, as an artist, I did a lot of freestyling, whether it be the artwork that I did on the streets versus the graphic work that I did on T-shirts. There was no ultimate end goal. It was just like, I'm just going wherever this takes me. As I started to develop myself as a creative, as an artist, I realized that I wanted to have some type of legacy and like a rhythm that my viewers can follow. So that's when, as I shared, I started to one on my end behind the scenes, I would document a lot of my potential concepts. But then when I started to feel more confident in a particular project that I wanted to do, it's now actually putting in the works that's necessary. So as a young artist, I didn't have access to a lot of resources that, somebody who went to school for art and design might have had access to. So I had to go to the fashion district and learn about, fabrics and learn about how to work with a factory, and learn about minimum order quantities, and learn about you know, making templates. So it's actually putting in the work and not just thinking that it's just going to magically appear somewhere. So it's just following these steps and staying committed to these steps, which would build this ultimate confidence in the company that I have now, where it's like, okay, like now I know how to function appropriately, as opposed to just doing it as just like, you know, this cool creative thing that I do on the side. Now it's something that is actually feeding me. And yeah.
Man, that's fire. Represent for the creative people, because sometimes creative people could get like mislabeled as, you know, I find myself a creative as well, but sometimes some of us creatives talk a lot, but oftentimes there's not a lot to show for it. You know what I mean? So that's good that you do that.
It's a challenge, bro. And trust me, and I get it. I totally get it. Like, you know, as part of the reason why I pursued education, because it's like I had all this what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I was surrounded by a lot of fellow creatives. But one thing I noticed is that it's like we're not where we wanted to be yet. You know what I mean? It's like we were just these talented individuals, and I hung out in the downtown underground scene, between skateboarding and nightlife culture and graffiti arts. So it was just amazing just being around all these creatives. I'm like, damn, bro, these are legends I'm around, but it's killing me that they're not where I know they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's like they're so talented, and I know anybody could just come in there, take advantage of them, and they would still be stuck in this, you know, the circumstances that they're in. And I was like, yo, that can't be me. I need to figure this out. So I had to take a step back, and I decided to go back to school. And you know, that's when I started to look into education. But something that I enjoy doing, even in the underground community, is talking to people. And this is where I was like, yo, at first I thought I was going to be a psychologist. I thought I was going to be the Black Fraser.
you got a good demeanor, too. You got a cool demeanor. See, with some glasses on, right? And a handkerchief.
But there was an experience that I had. I was substitute at a school. And so I'm working as a substitute teacher back in school. And while working as a substitute, you know, I would do graffiti on the wall, you know, I mean on the board, you know, and the kids would know that I'm an artist. And like, oh, yo, Mr. C, you know how to do artwork? I was like, yeah, that's what I do, man. That's what I do. And then, you know, I told them that, you know, I'll let them know that, you know, I skateboard and stuff like that. And then one day, finishing up, and again, you know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the moment. I was just back in school, and just 'cause like, yeah, I'm just gonna figure it out. Whatever it's gonna be, it's just gonna be. I'm leaving school, leaving the classroom, and this little kid tapped me on the back, and he's like, "Yo, Mr. C, man, I wish you were my dad." And I'm like, why'd you do that, man? It's like he took that arrow and just stabbed me right in the heart, and I was like, oh man. I was like, you know what, man? All right, you know what? I think I'm gonna stay in education, you know what I mean, and figure this out, because I know what it feels like to grow up without a father, you know what I mean? And just having that one father figure that could just help influence you or give you inspiration, it's a big deal. So I never forget that moment, and it inspired me to you know, get my license in counseling, and that's how I became a counselor. But I still wanted to keep connected with my, you know, creative endeavors. So even while I'm doing education, I run art programs in the schools that I do. So I do art after school art programs. I do these. I was at one point teaching graphic culture and skateboard culture in the school, and you know, and just things that the kids could relate with. Like, yo, like I rock with you, bro. Like I want to do something with my life. You know what I mean? Because I know how easily we can get trapped and caught up as a youth. Like, you see somebody else who you're inspired by. It could be that thug on the street, and it's like, yo, man, I want to be like him, man, because they don't have other role models that they can look up to. And I was like, yo, it's not gonna be easy, but if I can help be some type of role model to somebody, even if it's just that one kid, then I did my job.
Right. Yeah. I know how difficult it could be working in the schools and working with youth, and you're dealing with some teens. You know, they may not have fathers, or they may not have mothers, or some they may not have both in their lives. You know, and only role models they see is either in their neighborhood and at the school that they go to.
Yep.
So that's commendable, man. Like being able to mentor like teens and youth at and I call the age like you got the middle school kids. That's like a crucial point, man, in their lives. Like, cause that age they could go either way, and I see it like 6th, 7th, 8th graders. You know, they're kind of learning themselves. They're kind of feeling themselves, and you know, by the time they reach high school, you know, they could be headed in one direction or they could be headed in another direction. So those middle school years are crucial, you know, because they're really feeling themselves and they start learning themselves. They start experimenting, trying new things. So it's very important at that age to have you know, someone that they can see and look at and say, you know what, you know, he used to be, you know, my age at one point, or, you know, oh, you know, I like what he's doing. I want to be an artist, you know. I want to be a counselor also. So it's very important that we're giving these young men and young females, you know, positive role models to look at and people they can go to for good, strategic advice.
Who's thank you. Speaking of mentors, like who's probably been one of the most impactful for you, and like at what age did you uncover a mentor for yourself?
So I'd say there were a couple of different stages. I'd say one of the first memories that comes to mind was when I was in, I believe, 6th grade. There was an art teacher. Never forget his name, Mr. Michaels. If he's still out there, much love to Mr. Michaels. But yeah, I was in Jamaica, Queens, and he was just this dope teacher. First of all, he wasn't even an art teacher. He was a regular teacher who did art on the side. And he was like, yeah, I'm working on a comic book. And I thought that was amazing. So every day, like, he would show me just different, you know, stages that he was at with this comic book. And I always looked up to him. And that's what always had in the back of my head to want to, like, do art and, like really pursue art, because his ability just to, one, be a teacher and still do what he is passionate about was, like, you know, my first, you know, inspiration of drive. And then when I got to high school, another person who influenced me was my wrestling coach. Because growing up in the neighborhood I was at, I was surrounded by unfortunate, you know, just negative dudes who were not on the right path. And to be honest with you, I was following them. You know what I mean? Because I thought that was the role. I was like, yo, I mean, like, yeah, I want to be that. I want to do what they're doing. But then it wasn't until I was invited to start wrestling and my coach really put that drive in me, it really redirected, you know, what I should be doing and what I could be doing with, you know, myself as a young adult. And I stopped hanging out, you know, on the streets and following and trying to be this tough guy that, it's not that I wasn't that tough guy, it's learning how to redirect all that anger that I had in me. So he taught me to do that through sports, through wrestling. And that always stuck with me. And then eventually in my college years and professional years, the gentleman that I interned for as a counselor, like, I always look up to everything that he taught me, and just being a young man of color in this field and knowing how to work with children in our community and all the traumas that they experience. And he really put that on another level for me, and I will appreciate his teachings for that.
So a number of definitely strong mentors there. I mean, that just like you said, you know, I think a good thing that I'm curious about is how do you, because you seem like a very empathetic person, man. You got a very warm personality. So it's like, I'm sure sometimes, right, you hear these things. So it's like, how do you, and I feel like as an artist, right, you're sometimes more sensitive, like more your sensory is I consider myself neurodiverse, and I feel like the sensory is like turned up on another level. Like you hear things that other people don't hear. You're like, what's that noise? And people are like, are you crazy? So it's like being, I guess, right. You're getting a lot of sensory input from your surroundings, your culture, and you're channeling that into beauty. How do you, hold space for that, for these tough conversations or, these tough things and still keep moving forward, man? Because I'm sure that's not an easy thing.
Yeah, definitely isn't. When I was living in Brooklyn, and I was going through this whole finding myself phase, one thing that I started to tap back into was my martial arts, but I was now focusing more so on the meditative side. So I was learning how to meditate, and that really helped me balance myself mentally because I was going through a whole bunch of thoughts, different things, and just trying to figure out like, yo, what am I doing? It was just these real dark times mentally that I was going through. So as I started to learn how to meditate, breathe right, focus on my true intents and disregard negative thoughts that were just unnecessary. They're gonna come. They're gonna come here and there, but it's just learn how to filter our thoughts. You know what I mean? And that was a big thing that I learned how to do through meditation, and that helped me with interacting with people, learning how to choose my words, accordingly, learning how to just be sympathetic to people. You know what I mean? They will irritate you, and you want to be like, man, but you're like, you know what? You're like, chill, just relax. They're not where you're at. You know what I mean? And they're still going through whatever they're going through. Just be sympathetic and empathetic for them, and just breathe it out, man. Just let it out, and just do what you got to do. Transfer that into a work of art. You know what I mean? Like that experience that you had with that individual that was gonna get you turned up. Transfer that into, like, if you're a musician, into a beat. You know what I mean? Pound that, make that into a dope ass beat. You know what I mean? Or create some amazing artwork on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, just redirect that energy.
So I gotta at Justify Riches. We like to play a little game. Ready, Rich?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. So the name of this one is called Good Mindset or Nah. All right. So I'm gonna give you a scenario, and I just want you to tell us if it's a good mindset or nah from a growth and entrepreneurship standpoint.
Okay.
All right. So I need everything perfect before I start a business. Is that a good mindset or nah?
Nah, nothing's gonna be perfect because even within a business, as you establish the business, you're gonna go through different ups and downs, and those are important lessons that you have to go through. So you don't need everything perfect. You're gonna try to get it as good as possible, but everything's not gonna be perfect. It's never gonna be perfect.
All right. We like that one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Brad. He's speaking from truth because you don't have all these viable outcomes, without that.
All right. So I want to I'm willing to learn skills before chasing money. Good mindset or nah?
Willing to say that again. Willing to learn.
I'm willing
skills?
to learn skills or acquire certain skills before chasing money. Good mindset or nah?
All right, I wouldn't say it's necessarily good or bad. I'd say to find the balance.
Okay.
All right, so because there's nothing wrong with pursuing and chasing money, but doing it accordingly. And yes, there are certain skills that you should have. So while you're doing it, you are learning certain disciplines that you need to know, like budgeting and accounting, so that when you do get the money, you know how to manage that money. That you're just not just throwing it all over the place. So yeah.
All right. I agree with that one. That's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right?
A little curve.
Both. All right. And this is a money habits question. All right. I save whatever is left after I spend. Good mindset or nah? I save whatever is left
Okay.
after I spend.
All right. It's challenging because again, I'm always gonna be on a little bit on both sides, but I'll say it is a good habit. But the reason why I say it's a little bit of both, because if you know how to invest, if you have some money left over, I would recommend investing that into another account because I believe that, and this is what I've learned throughout the years, like saving money is not growing, it's not doing anything.
Right.
But so if you've reached the stage and you learned how to invest, I say whatever's left over, take that money and invest into an account and let that money grow. If you don't know what to do with it just yet, if you don't know if you're gonna turn it into a business or whatever, take that money, put it into an investment account.
All right. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's solid advice. I'm actually curious here if I could see here. So this is the first one here. So Key Master, Legend of the Master Key. So for the audience, if we can see this this awesome book here. So tell us a little bit. Was this the first one?
Yeah.
Is
It's an ongoing graphic novel series. It's about a young boy who he's a senior, getting ready to graduate, and he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do after graduation. He just thinks that life is just boring. And one day he receives this mysterious letter in the mail, and it says that he's heir to a mansion. So he gets this random letter. All of a sudden now he owns this mansion, but his best friend tells him like, "Yo, that that mansion is haunted, right?" And he's like, "Haunted? He's like, I don't believe in that stuff. Ain't no damn haunted house or whatever." So they go to explore the mansion, and come to find out it is indeed haunted, but he finds out that it's haunted because they've been protecting this place for him. And he has now learned that he's what is called a key master. And a key master is somebody who's able to open doors into other realities and learn things about themselves, and it levels them up to the next level. So they become these like super amazing, superheroes. So he goes through these different worlds, these different dimensions, and learns different things about himself, and his history. He learns about like past other key masters that were a part of his bloodline, and he just goes on these different adventures.
Yeah, this is dope. I was about to ask you too. I was like, "Where'd you get the name Keymaster from?" But you explained it perfectly. This is dope.
So what would you say is one of the overall morals of the story, especially for a young person from the book?
So yeah, life is challenging, especially as a young adult. You're trying to figure things out, but you're not always going to figure things out right then and there. Just be willing to go through the path and the lesson and learn. And in due time, you're going to, especially if you have that intent that you're willing to learn and you're willing to go out there and pursue, you will get the appropriate guide that you need to get to where you need to get. And just be patient. Patience is key, literally. Patience is key.
I like that. And the different doors or the key to unlock these doors, where did that concept come from, or does it correlate to something either in your own life or what you feel like? I know sometimes you say you associate with neurodiverse also. Like, where do you feel the opening of the doors? Is that a metaphor for anything?
Yes, and yes. So everything, yes. And growing up, I was always into sci-fi. You know what I mean? So whether it be Star Trek, whether it be there was a show called Sliders that was almost like literally a similar type of concept where it was this smart kid who knew how to go into different dimensions and portals. So, but the biggest thing, the metaphor is like being able to go into these different aspects of yourself, going back to our original conversation, and self-reflecting, not being afraid to go and learn about yourself, and realizing how strong it makes you when you actually conquer that aspect of yourself that you were afraid of.
I'm loving that. I'm doing a lot of research right now on neurodiversity and myself being like late diagnosed ADHD at like 35, like where you grow up thinking it's like a character flaw, or like I could imagine, and I'm not sure if it's in the book, but I could imagine the ability to open doors sounds cool, but then sometimes that might come at the expense of not seeming neurotypical, because you can't almost like be neurotypical and think like everybody else and then have that capacity to crawl, to go into those different universes, right? There has to be something there. And even like doing a little research on like where they say zoning out, um, I almost feel like sometimes, whether it's ADHD or a neurodiverse person, they're zoning out or they're seeming like they're in multiple things. In my heart of hearts, I try to do a little research on this with AI, but in my heart of hearts, that person is not zoning out. They're literally like putting together different contexts. I almost feel like they're kind of traveling into different spaces, or you're right, like putting all that together. But to the outside, it looks like, you know what I mean? That's so powerful, like seeing that and like the ability to have the brain capacity to be able to, travel into these different dimensions, like even that's where I feel like code switching comes from. Like when you're code switching, sometimes you're literally traveling into their space and catering an experience for the person and talking how you think they want to be talked to and all that kind of stuff. And that's serious mental capacity. So that's by no means zoning out. There's a lot of beauty in that traveling into, because part of why I wear this hat, I'm a self-proclaimed brand spokesman now, but very, very proud, because when I was doing some research, right, an alien is oftentimes just someone who's able to see a vision that someone else can't see. And, sometimes society gets scared of that person or labels them as weird or an alien because, wow, yeah, you must be an alien to think like that. So and I could be completely off, so I'm just proclaiming my own interpretation of the brand. But tell us a little bit about the Alien brand and what that means to you, how that came about.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you hit it right on the money. Like when I initially started the brand, I was in college and I was, cool with the cool kids, but it was always, I guess the geeks that were my true friends, you know what I mean? Because they're the ones who I played video games with. I could watch my, my sci-fi with, and they didn't look at me weird. It was like,
Yeah,
Steve, did you watch the latest Star Trek? I'm like, hell yeah, bro! Like,
the Klingons, bro.
I mean, I can be me. You know what I mean? I was like, you know what? Like, I want to be able to create something for those who are not afraid to be them. You know what I mean? And that's where Alien came about. And Alien is an acronym for a legion in every nation, or a legend in every nation. So that no matter where you are, wherever you are, like you're not afraid to be you, and there's always going to be somebody who you could, reflect with, like be, what I mean, that resonates with you. That's what the whole Alien brand really represents. It's not being afraid to be yourself.
Damn, bro. So if I see someone else wearing Alien, I'm gonna give them a hug. Like because hopefully they'll embrace it. Be like, yo, bro, we all the same. But I love that. Is that was that one of the first things, or did the book come first? Did the clothing brand?
Yeah, the brand came first because back in the day, in my earlier years, like I said, like as a young artist, I would hang out in the downtown New York City areas, and we started off with T-shirts, but then we also started throwing parties. So the nightlife became a big part of our scene. Met amazing DJs. Met like people who eventually became awesome people who were doing their things, like the ASAP crew, like the ASAP mob. They used to model for Alien back in the day. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I remember them when they were just like youth, and seeing where they are right now. Like I love everything that they're doing right now. Rocky, shout out to Rocky. Shout out to Bari, shout out to Ills. Like I haven't forgotten about y'all, and I love that they were everybody who that was a part of Alien. They weren't afraid to branch out and just pursue that unique thing about them that made them in that creative realm. And like I said, the underground world was where we resonate at. We love just being where we were. Eventually, over time, I started to decide that okay, all right, this can turn into an official business. You know what I mean? Because before it was just like primarily friends, family, the underground community wasn't really looking to turn it into a big brand per se. But then as I started to mature and learn like the ins and outs about running a business, I was like, yo, like this can be something, because what was happening as we were doing events downtown, we had a lot of international following. So we had like people from Japan, people from Asia, all around China, Thailand, who would come to our downtown events. And I was like, yo, like, I want to do something for them as well. So I was like, all right, how can I make this readily available for them? So we were selling at some downtown streetwear shops, some skateboard shops, and then eventually I started learning how to have my stuff readily available in retail overseas. And that's when I started to really self-reflect and like, all right, cool. Like this can turn into something. Let me figure this out on a professional world, in the professional realm, and then make it available to those who really resonate with the brand. And this is where we're at right now.
Man, did you find
No,
oh,
good,
yeah.
good, good.
Did you find that there were times where you were either ready to give up on it or you were like lost enthusiasm, and then you would find that someone was a fan of it or someone like liked it, and you're like, oh man, all right, I got to keep going. Like this is
Yeah, definitely. There were times where I was exhausted. I think it was the more appropriate word. It's like, man, like I feel like I'm doing all of this and still not getting the results that I want. Um, it wasn't really until I realized that I had to ask myself, like, what is it that you really want? Like, what is it? Like, I didn't have a clear cut answer to what it is that I was trying to manifest the brand to be. You know what I mean? So when I was able to answer that and also have more confidence that I'm doing this more so for my core audience, that's when I was like, all right, I got the energy that I need to just continue to keep doing this. And now we're ready to be, because for a long time too, also, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want the brand to be in a pop culture store or whatever the case may be. Like we were really about that underground life. Like we really enjoyed being indie underground. If you knew, you knew. If you didn't, all right, we were just a mystery. It was just alien. I mean, it's like so we stuck to that. But as we start to grow and we get notoriety and people start to really become more familiar with who we were, I was like, you know what, I do want to make this more accessible. So as I got older and the brand now, you know, the logo is recognizable to this particular scene and demographic. I was like, all right, now I can, if I want to approach a major distribution retailer and be like, all right, you know, would you be interested in having the brand? It's like now I can present them appropriately the right way to do that. Before I was like, nah, I didn't want to do that because I thought I was selling out per se. And I was like, no, we underground for life. So it's like, nah, it's time. And plus, I got 2 kids now. So.
I know you talked about you starting the clothing brand back in the 2000s. For like many young people out there who sometimes think, like we talked about before, like success is something that comes overnight. Can you talk to them about certain perseverance and things that you went through to still be here today with the brand and pushing forward? Because I know there's plenty of nights you're probably like, you know what, it's not working. I'm putting in too much work. You know, I'm done. I'm finished.
Definitely. When you're creating a brand, company in general, you have to be able to be willing to go through the ups and downs so that you can start to develop what that brand or company is. It helps to build that character, and you yourself as the owner start to learn the discipline of what it takes to run that company. If you're just trying to go there to get a quick fix and get some quick money real quick, then you're not really trying to build a brand. You're not trying to build a legacy. You know what I mean? It's those brands that's been here for 40 plus years that it's like, yeah, I want to rock that. You know what I mean? Like they have history. Like that's like an official quality heritage brand. And I think that's what the individual has to be willing to develop and create. And that comes with patience. Like you have to be patient because again, like every day you're learning something new, not only about yourself, but about your company and how to really define your company. And that's what makes your company different from somebody else because you've been through all these different experiences that create this unique aspect and why other customers and consumers relate with your brand. It's like, yeah, they get it. That's why they're authentic. They're officially this type of brand and company because they went through that experience. Like they know that industry, as opposed to somebody just like, oh yeah, I have this quick idea real quick, and this is what everybody's doing. This is what the wave is. I'm just gonna hop on the bandwagon and just do what everybody else is doing. Eventually, people can be like, yeah, you're fake. You're not a real whatever it is that your brand is. You're not really into that industry. You know what I mean? And eventually, you just fade out. And we see that happen with a lot of brands and companies. But if that's what you want to do, that's cool too. You know what I mean? It's not to knock anybody. Some people, that's what they just want to just hop on something real quick, make that money, and dip out. But if you really like want to be about a particular type of community, then you gotta have to, have patience and ride with it.
I think that's something that you mentioned that a lot of business owners struggle with. Me and Rich talk about this all the time about, being consistent, the being kind of the persevere. Sometimes you don't see results right away that you want to see. But, if you have a brand, just continue, persevere, push through, and be, like you said, be consistent, be authentic. And, you're authentic. People see that, and you'll start seeing results. It may not be right away, but even if it's 2-3 years, it may take 4 or 5 years for you to start seeing results.
18 years.
See,
Actually,
That's
it's more than. Oh my gosh! Damn, I feel old. It's been more than 18
More than
years.
18 years?
I
you
have
have to
do
check
my
the
math.
calendar real quick. We're in 2026.
Yeah, we're in
I was calling myself
2026
45
now.
for the longest, and then I realized I'm 44.
Sometimes I'll be stuck in COVID years. I call it.
Yeah.
22 years.
Wow,
22.
years. Yep.
22 years. Yeah, that's
And I have no regrets. I mean, some people may be like, oh damn, 22 years and you're just at this level. Yeah, we're at this level. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Right.
And we're about to get on even higher levels. You know what I mean? So I have no
Absolutely.
regrets. Everything that happened, it happened exactly the way it did. And just like even recently, shout out to Complex and Complex Style. They shouted us out. You know what I mean? As one of the founding fathers of this particular community that we cater to, which is the underground streetwear culture. So it was awesome that that we're still to this day are being recognized for what we used to do behind the scenes underground downtown New York City.
Wow. Powerful, man.
So tell me something that maybe people don't know about skateboard culture, and not so much about any secret underground stuff, right? But like, what's because I feel like it's a certain kind of mind, a skateboard. I'm like, man, you know what I mean? What's maybe something some people don't know about like skateboard culture or that.
I mean, even it's funny within the skateboard culture. There's different dynamics and departments, but for me, to be honest with you, being in the city, it was just like my main means of transportation. I didn't have the bread, literally, to hop on the train or whatever. Like if I had to be from uptown to all the way downtown, I was on my skateboard traveling all the way throughout the city. And also through those struggles, I learned so much about the cities, different areas of the cities I was not exposed to. So it forced me, to be on the streets and be all around. So it's like, that's why I feel like all these various experiences are essential to developing whatever it is that you're doing, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Like, you have to go through them in order to build that authentic brand that you're trying to build, because you learn so much about yourself if you're willing to go through it. Somebody else might be like, oh man, I'd be damned if I skateboard from uptown all the way to Chinatown. Man, I'm out. I'm done. This is taking too much of my end. But me, I was like, I had no choice. It's like, I need to get there and to connect with certain people, and I need to get my content out there. You know what I mean? So if I got to go out there and do it, I got to go out there and do it.
Bro, now with gas prices, skateboards are winning, right? They ain't worried about Iran gas prices right now. If you got places to be, just so the audience could get to know you too. I mean, because there's so many different things. Any other parts of your empire you want to talk about? Let us know what you're wearing, or I see another book there. Is that Water Brand, or that's yours too?
Yeah, I wish.
Let me find out. He's promoting some like Tibetan saltwater.
No, but I do. Funny enough, I do have friends in the culinary world who are working on some things. Again, that's the beauty of the community that I'm a part of. Being in the underground community, essentially, exposed me to the future like creators and entrepreneurs who are now like really doing their things, because it shows you the people who are just passionate about whatever their field is. And now, like, just to share some things that I'm working on, definitely writing, as I shared, is something that I got into recently, and being a part of the streetwear community. The title of my new book is called Streetwear, because it's merging both worlds of counseling and the world of just the street culture and how we can get lost. Hence the name streetwear, versus streetwear, the attire. And it's like almost like a self-help guide for young adults to figure out what they can do, step by step, to one, find themselves and stay consistent and committed to whatever it is that they're trying to pursue, and not being afraid to pursue it, and knowing that it's in due time you will get there. You just have to be consistent, patient, and essentially passionate, but being also aware of your current state of mind, because I feel like a lot of urban communities tend to look at mental health as a taboo in a sense. Like they don't talk about it too much. And I think it's very important that we start shedding more light on it so that our youth are not thinking that there's something wrong with them. You know what I mean? It's not that there's something wrong, we just haven't addressed it yet. And being taught how to deal with certain things that other people might not be going through. You're just different, and it's okay to be different. They need to learn how to deal with that aspect of yourself that somebody else might not be dealing with, and that's what's like, the inspiration behind what streetwear is, because it takes on like this whole Aladdin phase type theme where either you can be pursuing money, wealth, and all that stuff, which is nothing wrong with that, but being in the presence of wise people. You know what I mean? So and that could be that local uncle in the community that plays checkers on the corner that really knows what's up. You know what I mean? Listen to him. You know what I mean? Have a conversation with him. You know what I mean? Or just not just being afraid to just listen and take advice and self-reflect. And that's the inspiration for streetwear.
Dude, it's fire. I'm like, that sounds like a good book for our audience. Is it on Amazon, or where can anybody find it?
Right now, it's on, I believe the website is called Book Patch. But if you type in Stevens Q Calixte and then streetwear, it'll definitely come up, and it's readily available to purchase.
Oh, yeah. So let's let the audience know where they could find out about your books.
Yeah, so you just go online. Either you could type my name, Stevens Q Calixte, or I believe the website is thebookpatch.com. And then from there, you can type in either the title of the book or my name as the author, and the books should come up.
Yeah, I love that. I'm about to cop a streetwear book. I'm a big supporter of the Steve Calixte brands, Empire and stuff like that. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm feeling the hat though.
I appreciate it.
One of the Knicks colors right there.
Oh, bro, yeah, I've been wearing it probably. It's funny too. I've been wearing this because I work in a corporate environment, and I've used it as an excuse a few times where I'm in the corporate building. I'm like, look, I'm Mr. Community. There's a local community artist. I was like, that's exactly what I was supposed to be doing, and everybody's been like, all right, cool. But I've specifically used that card to be able to wear it a few times in some corporate forums to be able to talk. It was the LIE networking group. Because we were talking about, we have a committee that we're going over like inclusive conversations, understanding culture. So, so to speak, I was like, let me tell you about the Alien brand and so forth like that. But I really love what what it represents. I could see the authenticity, man, and what you've got. Like, you could tell this bread is important, but you could tell that there's a lot of love and thought it put into this. Everything I've seen, even the art show. Got to check out Borderlines. That's the art show there. We've got 2 books here. got the Alienware brand, some kicks right there too, some fire kicks, man. For all the sneakerheads out there, definitely, definitely. Special. He'll sign them if you order one. So as we're, because we've really been learning a lot from you, as we're wrapping up, getting some words of wisdom from you, right? Like what meditation. I think that's something good to pause on, and maybe like a little practical. If you don't mind sharing, is it like in the morning? Is it like 10 minutes? You don't have to necessarily share the specific mantra, but I think meditation. It is such a powerful thing, especially for any individual, but certainly neurodiverse individual. There's so many studies that show, taking that pause and building that prefrontal cortex brain. So, what is your like meditation routine like?
What I would recommend, well, this is from my experience. I enjoy meditating in the morning. So, no particular time, but when the sun is out, and you could dedicate anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Some people do half an hour or even more. But start off with just 5 minutes, and as you close your eyes, you just focus on your breathing. As you're taking these breaths in, you pause for a moment, and you exhale out, and you're using this time to, like I say, filter out different thoughts that you might be going through, and trying to focus more on what your true intent is. And over time, it just becomes a natural aspect of yourself where you can just wake up in the morning, set 5 minutes aside, and just be in yourself. You know what I mean? And it's good because from my experience, like I said, I have all these various thoughts going through my head before I step out the house. And prior to meditating, it's just various things that you're just going through, and because you haven't had an opportunity to filter them out, it sometimes influences certain decisions throughout the day. So I've found through meditation it allowed me to just really focus on what I want to do for that day, and I'm not thinking about all the other unnecessary things that's going through my mind. And I'm just focused. I'm just focused doing what I got to do and making sure I accomplish what I have to accomplish. And yeah, it's just a set visual, mindset.
Thank you. I appreciate that because sometimes we hear practices and stuff like that, but then like my analytical brain is like, well, what exactly does that look like? So I enjoy that because and you broke down too, because sometimes there's guided meditations, but it sounds like you're saying you're your own guided meditation, which is awesome. Did he not have a dope meditation voice? Like I could picture you doing like an audio track, bro, like guided meditation. Add that to the thing, just to like.
You're in a good place right now.
Good place right now. The dark, the positive. It is all part of the greater.
I felt it.
I definitely thank you because. And meditation probably covers this, but like a question that just came to my mind that personally that I've been thinking about a lot is it's this interesting dynamic because tough times make you better. But I think, like you said, and this is like a thesis that I've been thinking about is I could ask you how does someone go through hard times without becoming hard?
It is challenging. So I say that because as a counselor, like I witness all the different youth that are going through very difficult and traumatic experiences, and they're at such an early age ready to just throw it all up in the air and be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm just done. But it's learning how to be willing to self-reflect. And I bring this up a lot because we escape a lot. We escape as human individuals aspects of ourselves that we keep tucked away. Each and every one of us have certain parts of ourselves that we don't like to view or deal with. And we think that somebody else might be in a better situation or circumstance because of what you might be thinking you're lacking. When in reality, they're probably looking at you like, damn, I wish I was in his position, and look at everything that he got going on. You know what I mean? I feel like everything is balanced in the way it's supposed to be. You have to start finding the gems and jewels, because even in the story of Aladdin, like, the cave is just symbolic for the cave that's inside of you. All right, like, that jewel, that lamp that he was finding out there was really that genie that was hidden inside of him. All right, and once you are able to face that genie, you realize you can grant any wish that you want, as long as you're willing to go out there and pursue it. You know what I mean? But we keep it tucked away. We just leave that cave like, yeah, I ain't going in that cave. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? But you got to be willing to be like, you know what? I'm ready to face myself. Let me go do what I got to do.
That's powerful, because I feel like one of the if you don't face it yourself, then you project it outwards, right? And then it's like, ooh, how crazy do you look projected outwards? And then, you know, your loved one is like, yo, this is your issue. Like, what do you like? You know what I mean? Why are you making me, you know, part of your issue there? But wow, that's such a powerful thing, is looking at the deep, you know, the self reflection. And I feel like too, for me, speaking from experience, is love, right? The goal should always be love. And those hard times sometimes can make you lose love for things. And I think definitely as a warning sign, right? You know, yeah, we have different days, a day here, a day there. But if we find like consistently, like, we're losing that love, you know, right? Like, you become cynical, you be like, you know what I mean? Even your parents, you be like, you know, kind of thing. So I like what you're saying, that self-reflection, because, you know, we analyze, are we coming from a loving standpoint, right? And dealing with those issues, because it's, they say, and I've been studying myself, you know, they call it like shadow work, but that sounds crazy when they call it shadow work, right? But it's like integration. It's embracing that every part of you is every part of you, right? So it's like, man, I could see you doing a class, bro. I'd be the first one to sign up. If you want to have a class where, like, how do you dig in and, you know, look at the quote unquote unfavorable sides of oneself, but like fully integrate it, because it's and, you know, just being vulnerable, because the nature of the conversation. But right, like, I'm Mr. Positivity Pusher. I'm always thinking I gotta be smiling, but yo, I got like got an angry side to me too sometimes. You know, I got a little like dark side to me too, where I'm like, ooh, and it's almost scary, because it's like, that's so inconsistent with Positivity Pusher. But I've been working on trying to embrace all sides, because right, if you're too positive, then you're people pleasing, then you're not setting boundaries, then, you know, it's not like people are trying to take advantage of you, but you create an environment where people can kind of, right, because you're not setting your boundaries. So you're not embracing that like tough side of you too, so to speak. And maybe not tough is the right word, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, how do you look at those, you know, the unfavorable side of yourself to it, and sit in with that? Because yeah, it's mad uncomfortable sometimes, bro. Like, to like sit with that, you know, especially with our kids.
So, is there any type of saying or phrase that you would put on a billboard?
Oh man. See, now I'm on the spot. Like, I'm trying to think of something.
It's always on the spot question.
Yeah. We come around. You
Every
got
single
one?
person, yeah. So I'll do mine. I'll do mine first. I always be bouncing around to a few, but I think, and it ties into what you're saying. Actions speak louder than words, especially too, where you talk about, like, because we can rationalize, and our actions sometimes are the only true indication of what we're doing, because like our mind can like just run away with all kinds of endorsements and excuses, and we could be like acting crazy, and our mind is somehow protecting our ego. But like analyzing your actions or analyzing the actions of another, they are, man, like in banking, we love to say numbers don't lie. Like, to me, for the most part, aside from little things out of context, actions, man, you know, actions definitely don't lie.
Yeah, I have to go with I feel like we touched on personal development here.
Oh,
So I'll have to go with our guy Jim Rohn, where, you know, you should work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So just the importance of, you know, personal development, and it's hard to get rid of an asset. You You know, so you want yourself to actually be a asset because if you're an asset, there's no amount of money or I would have to say like you become a gem. You know, it's hard to get rid of a gem. You're not just gonna cast it to the side. You know, you're gonna find some proper way. Either you're gonna wear it or put it on a ring, put it on a chain. You're gonna find some type of use of it.
Bars, bro. Yeah. You a gem, people gonna make space for you. They're gonna make room for you because they want to keep the gem around.
Your asset.
Ooh, thank you.
Keep that around.
See, damn, I feel like now I can't compete with y'all.
Bro. But actually, you got a lot of zingers, bro.
You know, it's funny because it's like my memory like is shot, bro. That's why now I write things a lot.
Write things down.
But one thing that always sticks with me is that everything is a reflection of what you're going inside. So just be mindful of everything that you do, and know that if you don't like how certain things are happening around you, it's because there's certain things that you need to fix inside of you. So just be aware that everything that's going on outside is also what's going on inside.
See, bro. He's like, I'm not sure. That's so profound.
Out the left back pocket. He had that. Which one should I pull? You know?
That was fire because it's right. We see it with our friends. We see it with our friends, with our loved ones that we perpetually get what we give out. So I love that. Like I was reading something like a mirror. Like if you were to change the reflection, you wouldn't break it. You wouldn't yell at the mirror, right? The reflection is a result of you, which is like, ooh, it stings, and you like, because it always comes back to you, especially as men. I feel like too, you know what I mean? Especially as men, right? It's like radical accountability. You always, regardless of what happens in your life, there's usually some root in you. And, ooh, that's hard to,
That's a whole episode. It's a whole nother episode.
It's a whole episode. That's why it's good to have friends like you, man. I'm sure you're that good confidant in your circle. I'm sure you got a few people that are like, hey, Steve, what would Steve do?
Yeah.
Well, brother, it's been a pleasure. Please let the audience know. I know you mentioned the books, but everywhere where to find you as far as the Alien clothing brand.
Definitely, yeah. So www.aliennyc.com. And like I'm working on few other projects for the creative platforms. But for now, you can go at Alien NYC on IG and follow there and keep up with everything that we got going on.
Definitely. And how do they find out about the art show or the artwork?
My personal page is Quan Love, so that's at QUAN.LUV. And for the most part, I keep everything up to date with all the curated projects on the art side.
Excellent, man. I feel like this has been super impactful as far as shout outs. We always want to thank Nam Studios. Want to thank our producers, Sanaya and Jody, who was here. And definitely want to thank Jane in the background, making everything work, followed up, right? Sending the emails and stuff like that. It takes a village. Definitely want to thank my co-host over here. And this was created as a platform to, like you said, gems, to be able to showcase local gems. And thank you, brother. You are literally like part of why this podcast was created, so leaders like you are able to get out there and, share your word authentically, man, especially for the young people. That's exactly what the show is, man. So it's like, appreciate you. All right, we're wrapped tonight. Before you hit unrecord, I always give my guests a dap, a pound, so that's like our new thing now, so appreciate you. Yeah, good times, man. Straight up, I thought he had a water brand too, because he was like positioning it also.
Yeah, that was like some rock.
Oh, I know, right?
I have a friend who's working on a wine brand, like an organic wine brand. So that's I'm gonna be promoting that next.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, organic wine, bro, and Jamaican vegan spot or something.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I had some mushroom oxtail or something?
Yeah, it's probably mushroom.